Hi everyone. I'm going to keep this as short as I can because it is quite late, but I wanted to make this video so that you guys understand that I did speak out against this as often and as passionately as I could. I've got a really bad case of DVT. I can feel the lumps moving up and down my body. And again, I'm not going to go to a doctor because the doctor, they don't treat these things. And I know it seems like a really stupid thing to do, but I'd rather not go to a doctor because all they're going to do is lie and say it's a muscle spasm. And I'm not trying to deal with that shit at the end of the day. So just in case I die from the clots, just in case I die from them, there are a few things that I want to tell you about. But first, I want to give you an update on myself. Emotionally, I'm okay. There's nothing really wrong with me like that. The only thing that's really happened of note is that there's been like some reverse psychology nonsense happening with my neighbors attempting to do noise pollution, like the reactionary noise pollution, where they play something as loud as possible, and then I try to play something loud down here to drown it out, and then they record me, and then they try to paint some whole other picture. It's just lame as hell. So like they've been trying to do that, and they've been trying to find stuff for me to report to authorities, the same authorities that have done nothing about anything. Suddenly they think that them just doing random shit or like petty shit for me to report is somehow gonna make things any better for them, as if they didn't sign their own death warrants. You know, but it's a day in the life, innit? I mean, the one reliable thing about gang stalking is that they're always going to do the same thing. So it's not even worth getting upset about at this point. I have been subject to sleep deprivation because of my neighbours, but because I've been sleeping during the day or trying to sleep during the day when they scream their head off during the day, I'm not necessarily going to complain about it. So I have been subject to some light sleep deprivation. I have been subject to reactionary abuse, noise pollution, in a bid to try to engineer a setup. But truth be told, with the amount of clots that are running through my body and the amount of electronic weaponry that I'm actually being bombarded with, I don't think it fucking matters either way. It really doesn't matter. You know, this program already murdered me. Like I said before, it already murdered me since I was a child. So there's just no point in any of this. And not only had it already murdered me since I was a kid, all of it was aiding towards World War III. Turns out I was right. So like, it really doesn't matter at this point. They can do whatever they want. Whatever it is they've been paid for with the peanuts that they got, it's not going to protect them. It's not going to protect anybody. In fact, all gang stalking has done is made things worse. Hate crimes are on the increase. Domestic abuse is on the increase. People are at war with each other. Cost of living is going up. And gang stalking contributed to all of that through manipulation of EEG technology, through the the frequency of our brains, through manipulating the thousands of fucking brain signatures. I think it's 10,500. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it again. My memory's not good, but they've been manipulating our brain signatures. They've been bombarding our bodies with positive ionization, which is really bad for our bodies. It actually degrades our bodies. They've been doing all this. They've been debilitating people through experimenting with the same weapons that they're going around bragging about. They've been doing all of this. And all it's contributed to is increase in crimes, increase in, like I said before, increase in hate crimes, increase in domestic abuse, increase in civil wars and wars across the globe. Like, all it's ever done is just collectively made things worse for everyone. That's the only legacy that gang stalking has. Because the people that are in power over us are at war with us all the time. We are only at war with them periodically when we've had enough and when we've had about as much as we can take. But these people are at war with us all the time. They are constantly thinking of ways to kill us, to genocide us, to control the population, they're constantly thinking of new ways to do that. And all gang stalking has done is contribute to these eugenics. That's all they've done. That's the legacy. That's what they've sacrificed to me and God knows how many other innocent people for. That's what they've sacrificed us for. For a little bit of power and a lot of fucking oppression. That's what they did it for. So all of this petty stuff, it's just pointless. I'm going to die anyway. Like, they've already made up their minds to murder me. We've all got to die at some point. These blood clots are, it's not going to result in me, living forever. You know what I mean? What is the point in all this? But anyway, rambling over. So that's basically what I was trying to get at. That my neighbours were creating noise pollution, playing silly games to try to set me up with what I don't know. I've already got DVT. If I get on these medications because of their false mental health reports, it will definitely fucking kill me. So I don't know what more they want. I really don't know what more they want. And on top of that, I've been getting electronic attacks up here in my brain. And I'm pretty sure with enough electronic torture, it might cause a hemorrhage like they did to my mother. You're talking about somebody who's been tortured into depression, into being sedentary all the time, and then on top of that, bombardment with radiation, just in normal life, let alone electronic torture. Like, come on, man, that's unsustainable. Come on now. So that's why all of this trickery, all of this nonsense, it amounts to nothing, or rather, it amounts to murder. So these people have already murdered me. So I just don't understand where they think it's going to get better because they tried to set me up. They've been complicit in my murder, so I don't understand how they think that's going to help. Literally, almost everyone in my life has been contributing to my murder. So there's that. So that was the update on me. To summarize, because I was rambling a lot. To summarize, there was the noise pollution, reverse psychology thing going on, where huge amounts of noise was supposed to be played from upstairs and I was supposed to drown it out. Then they were supposed to set me up and try to make out like I'm trying to keep their children awake. So far, so lame. Okay, so that's the first thing. It's a typical thing with the gang stalkers, always going to come up with something new. So that's in summary. Now, there are a couple of things that I want to talk about on top of the update that I just gave you. The first thing that I want to talk about is, actually, there's only one thing I want to talk about, and that's the rebranding of gang stalking. Somebody asked me, is gang stalking going to end? And I said no. It's going to be rebranded. Little did I know that as far back as 3 years ago, and maybe even further than that, the FBI classified something called transnational repression. And what they do is they try to send operatives from foreign countries into the US or the UK. And what they do is they use intimidation tactics, fear tactics to shut down somebody and, basically engage a fear campaign with whistleblowers that have spoken out against certain governments like Iran, North Korea, Russia. So these countries are essentially being blamed for bringing foreign people over here to engage in fear and intimidation campaigns and cyber torture campaigns to stalk, harass, and eventually slowly kill the people that have spoken out against those governments. That's exactly what the FBI say that Russia is doing, that China is doing, that North Korea is doing. But it's our own governments that have been doing that. It's our own governments that have been doing this shit. Literally every single domestic government has been involved in gang stalking. But this is exactly what I'm talking about when I said it's not going to end, it's going to be rebranded. Because what they've done is they've sectioned off different areas of gang stalking. So one part of gang stalking is the electronic torture. They've called that Havana syndrome. Okay? And at first they made out like it was just some magical phenomenon that came out of nowhere, even though Lockheed Martin and God knows how many defense systems were developing these electronic weapons at the time and testing it on people. So the US government is over here acting like it's mysterious. They know where the fuck it comes from. It's like Paul Mooney said, you know, like George Bush said, oh, I'm sure it's in Iraq. Paul Mooney said, yeah, you and your dad, because you got the receipt. You have to remember George Bush Sr. worked for the CIA before he became president. So these electronic weapons, these defense systems have been working on them for decades. It is not new. Even manipulating brain frequencies, even using frequency modification to affect people's moods. None of this is new. This has been going on for quite some time, but now they're calling it Havana syndrome because they want to engage that subconscious connection to former communist countries or communist countries. Because Iran, even though it's been taken over by a radicalized government now for a few decades, that used to be a communist country. Russia, taken over by Vladimir Putin, and I think his name is Boris Gorbachev before him, former communist country. Cuba, to my knowledge, still a communist country. I could be wrong. China, former communist country. Do you see where this is going? All of these places are former communist countries, and they're being blamed for gang stalking. But it's not just them, it's also places like Saudi Arabia too. So that's one compartment. One compartment is the psychological intimidation and the fear campaigns and the cyber torture, hacking, all that type of stuff. Transnational repression is what the FBI have been calling it, but it's actually our own domestic governments that have been involved in this shit. Because the way gang stalking works is that it's either criminal networks that are involved in gang stalking us, which our secret police have access to, or corporations, which almost everyone has access to, or it could be foreign diplomats over here that are assigned to be our handlers, which our domestic security services have access to. Okay? So even if it was mostly foreign countries doing this, our own countries were indirectly involved, and they were stalling until the right time where they could actually reveal it in a way that didn't make themselves look bad. So they're still stalling. They're still holding back on the truth. Okay? They're still stalling on that shit. Right? So that's one part of gang stalking that they've taken and rebranded. As well as Havana syndrome, which is electronic weapons and stuff like that. But that's what they do. That's what they do. These technologies with the headphones, with, you know, bone conductors in your ear, frequencies reaching certain bone conductors in your ear, that technology has already been weaponized and has already been used in the military. You have to remember, advanced technology, it goes through the military first and then it becomes consumer technology. Then it becomes consumer technology. These people have been lying to everybody. And I've tried to warn people. Like, you know, and I'm supposed to sit here and say that I was too harsh in my delivery, that I was acting crazy, and the truth is all of these things could be true, but I was literally fighting for my life and people ignored me. And the only reason why I have anything to do with the people who ignored me fighting for my life is because I needed something from them. If I didn't need anything from them, they'd be ghost. They'd be out of my life. And it hurts. It hurts to know that so many people who claim to care about me either abandoned me to my death or tortured me to my death or betrayed me to my death. But there we are. That's the reality. I have no love for people I barely fucking know. I don't care about their fucking opinions of me anymore. They're murderers and traffickers. Why should I care? But it's when the people who are supposed to love you don't have your back. And they co-sign your death and they co-sign your torture, and then they want to act like nothing's wrong. But again, that's the world we live in. And it's the reality for a lot of targeted individuals. Not for it, and it's not foreign influences that is causing the shit. It's all domestic. It's all domestic. That's exactly what our governments do before they get ready to turn their respective countries into dictatorships. They either attack the domestic enemy and claim the foreign enemy is doing it, or they attack the domestic enemy and they accuse the domestic enemy of being terrorists. If Barry Trower had been giving, Northern Irish revolutionaries cancer, imagine what MI5 have been doing to black activists in this country. Prominent ones, or even those attached to prominent black activists. My parents, kind of stopped being so militant when I was born, or just after that. But during the time of my brother's childhood, they were militant. They were militant pro-black activists. Well, not activists, but they were militantly pro-black. And they knew at least one pro-black activist. They knew of them anyway, within their community. There is a reason why our community was splintered. It's because of gang stalking. Gang stalking was the reason that our communities were splintered. That the black community was splintered. We were growing too strong. It was getting to be too much. That's why that's partially what aided gentrification in poorer black and brown communities. And now look at Brent. Black communities scattered to the wind. Rent going up to the point where nobody can live properly. Dilapidated buildings everywhere. That was programmed. It was designed that way. And all they had to do was convince the people of Brent that they were better than the people they were gang stalking. And it's the same everywhere with every community. You convince them they're better than someone else. They'll pay for the opportunity to feel like they're better than someone else. Hell, they will literally pay for the opportunity with their money, with their children, with their lives to feel like they're better than someone else. And we call it survival, but it really isn't. We're in a situation now where if we had paid attention to our vulnerable, to the people who are truly vulnerable, we wouldn't be in this position. We'd be stronger. We'd be stronger, and we wouldn't be able to have our governments taking the piss with us repeatedly, killing us and playing in our face. But that superiority complex, it is a bitch. It is a bitch. One thing I'm grateful to say is that when this program murders me, which it will, I'm not going to be here with the rest of these idiots. I'm not going to be here with them. And if they think that I've suffered, if they think that they've caused me as much pain and humiliation as humanly possible, they have no idea what's coming. That's pain. That's humiliation. That, my friends, is fucking despair. They're gonna know what fucking pain is. I'm just sorry that due to what's happening with my body, that I won't be able to see it. I'm just sorry I won't be able to see them suffer even worse than me for everything that they've done. I'm sorry that I won't be able to enjoy a better life than theirs for all the shit that I've been put through. I'm sorry I won't be able to experience that. I'm sorry I won't be able to enjoy that. But it's just the reality of the situation. That's why I dedicate my life to laughing as much as possible, doing as much as possible, because like being tortured to death is hard enough. You know? And let mental health come. If, people, this video is disturbing. Oh, what I'm saying is disturbing. Let them come. If they want to be fucking complicit in fucking coercive murder, that's their lookout. That's their lookout. I'm sure there's other stuff to talk about. Fuck, I can't remember. Can't remember what I was going to say. So those electronic weapons to the head, you see, got me and my brain fried, so it's going to take a while to process exactly what I need to say. Yeah. The gangstalkers have a lot more than my tarot readings to worry about. A lot fucking more than that. And to every single gangstalker that has ever been involved in my case, I really, really hope you suffer for what you've done. I don't even need to hope that. You fucking will. And not only will you suffer, your descendants will suffer. You, your children, your descendants, your entire bloodline. Just like what's been done to my family. Just like what's been done to the families of every TI. You will suffer. And by the time this program murders me, I'm gonna be the one with the victory, not you. Yeah, I think that's it. Unless there's something else I've forgotten. Oh yeah, I think that's it. Peace and blessings, everybody. My fellow TI, stay strong. I love you guys so much. And just in case, if I die, which I will at some point, I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. If I die, when I die, because we all have to die at some point. When I die, I want it known that it wasn't natural causes. It was electronic torture. It was electronic torture, which is Havana syndrome. It was national repression, not transnational, national repression, which is the street theater and the intimidation and the break-ins and all that. I want people to know that it was Havana syndrome and national repression that murdered me. That's it. And my fellow TIs, make a fucking will as quickly as possible, and I mean it. The last thing you want to do as a targeted individual is leave yourself without a will, because if you leave yourself without a will, then the state takes over and decides what to do with your shit. You don't want that. Handle that shit. Even if you don't think you have much, even if you think that your whole family has betrayed you, and they probably have, leave it to someone. Do not leave it to chance. I think that's it. Is that it? Intuition, help me. Because, like, listen, when my logical brain is just not functioning properly, my intuition will just take over. I think that's it. So if I think of something, then I'll make another video. But yeah, a lot of shit is coming out this year. June will be the time where a lot of people will galvanize, or have to galvanize, when it comes to what they believe in. So the second half of the year is going to be, it's going to be very intense. I won't hold you. No, I think now I've got to go. Yeah, I think I've got to go because I can't remember anything else. But yeah, stay strong, my fellow TI. Stay blessed. I love you. And remember, if I'm killed, when I'm killed, it's not if, when. It was not natural causes, it was murder. It was remote, coercive murder. Brighton and Hove was involved in my death, and Harlesden was involved in my death, and Cricklewood was involved in my death, and Willesden Green was involved in my death, and Kenton was involved in my death. And Jehovah's Witnesses were involved in my death. Aylwood Middle School were involved in my death. Bentley Wood High involved in my death. Stanmore College involved in my death. Northwest University, or West University, West London University involved in my death. Thames Valley U involved in my death. Harlesden Primary were involved in my death. Scott House School were definitely involved in my death. Involved in my murder. Investigate all them motherfuckers. All of them, and especially those that I spent the most time with. Investigate them fucking all. Investigate them all. Brent NHS, Brighton and Hove NHS, all the health organisations that I was investigated with, investigate them. Mind was involved in my death. In fact, it was crucial. Their involvement was crucial in my murder. Investigate them. Mind, Brent Mind especially, but Mind, involved in my murder. Mental health, Brent and Brighton and Hove. No, Brent and East Brighton involved in my murder. Investigate them all. Investigate them all. That will tell you everything you need to know. Every single person I ever talked to, especially my enemies, especially anybody who had a vested interest in smear campaigns against me, investigate them motherfuckers. Lockheed Martin was involved in my death. The Freemasons were involved in my death. Investigate all of them. Graham Park doesn't exist anymore. Collindale was involved in my death. Woodingdean, at the moment, is involved in my death, involved in my murder. Be aware. Investigate all these places that are connected to me. You'll be surprised at what you find out. they're going to spin some cock and ball story about, oh, she was mentally ill, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I was. And they were still complicit in my murder. Investigate them. Let my death be the worst thing that ever happened to these people. ITV involved in my murder. MI5 involved in my murder. MI6 involved in my murder. National Crime Agency, they've shut down. But they came round looking for a gang stalker of mine involved in my murder. The police, the Met Police and Sussex Police, definitely involved in my murder. Who else? Anybody, any celebrity that I've tweeted, investigate them motherfuckers too, involved in my murder, one way or another. Let's make it interesting. Let's make it interesting. So, who else? I think that's it. So, yeah, once again, that's not it, is it? Also investigate people who have been trolling me. Oh yeah, the cyber trolls involved in my murder. Nerve Gorilla involved in my murder. And now I gotta go. Peace and blessings, my fellow TIs. I love you guys so much. I think I've missed a few people out. I don't think, have I missed people out? Yeah. But everyone that I've named, a lot, all the areas that I've named, that's just the beginning. There's more to come after my death. So, I love you guys. Peace and blessings. I love you so much. And yeah, again, my death was not through natural causes. If I've got clots, not natural causes at all. All the teeth missing, not natural causes. None of it. All electronic torture and all psychological campaigns designed to kill me through my nervous system. All of it. I love you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye bye, my darlings.